Okay. Ready? Our speaker today is Dr. Joseph Bernard. Dr. Bernard is a crisis responder for Western Lane County. He works with individuals as a life coach and consultant. He is active in social media as a contributor to Substack, where he does writing, videos, podcasts, and voice-guided practices. Regarding abundance, Dr. Bernard says our sense of self is tied to how much abundance we allow to flow through our lives. His message for us today, abundance is a river of freedom and possibilities. Please welcome Dr. Joseph Bernard.
Thank you. This morning I'd done my presentation, had it all on my computer, and then I went to find it, it was gone. So I have a ton of notes that I'd written in preparation for it, but it's funny how some days you start out and things really are flowing and other days they're bumpy. You may have noticed that. Anybody notice that? Yeah, okay. Once in a while. And so I wanted to talk about first what we can be, what abundance we can be grateful in our lives, no matter what is going on. Is that the candle? Okay. This crackly noise up here. Is that me?
No, it's
Could be your mic. It could be your mic.
Could be my mic. That's it there.
Yeah, I think maybe it's hitting your neck. Hitting your neck.
Doesn't feel like it is, but it's not touching it now.
Okay. It's good about it.
So should I try to just hold in my hand? No,
Can you just do this and put it down on your side?
it's put
turn it
down.
up and speak loudly.
Yeah, I could. Do you want to look at it? Let's see. It doesn't look like it's in there. Okay,
It's so scratchy. I think we're.
all right.
Thank you, Barbara.
So I was talking about abundance and where we have abundance in our lives. And if we just take some time to at least acknowledge that, then everything else will kind of build on that. And one of the things that came to me was that the flow of life is abundant. The flow of life that flows through us is abundant. If you could think of the energy that flows through us is the same energy that holds the whole universe together. So we're never without, because that energy is flowing through us at all times. And when you're touch into that energy, there's endless possibilities. You have the same force that's holding everything together flowing through you. Is that reassuring? Yeah, I find it very reassuring. Some days when I get up in the morning, I got to plug into that flow of life because it's flowing through me. I think of health too. If we're up and moving, because of the work the crisis work, I run into a lot of people who aren't doing that well. When you have the flow of energy, the health flowing through you, you have abundance. When your mind's working clearly, when you don't have dementia, when you remember who your partner is, all these things that I noticed in my crisis work, we can be grateful because that energy is flowing through us. That's abundance. I think of compassion, and in the work that I've done for many years, that compassion is a river that flows through me. And I suspect it's a river that flows through you. Would you say it is? Does it seem like as we grow older, we grow more compassionate? Yeah. I think it's a really positive thing that if we're not growing more compassionate, something got shut off in us. And sometimes I see that with people I work with, is that they've lost touch with that flow of compassion. Their heart is not open. And how much joy do you feel if your heart's closed? No. I mean, if you go on the news or you go on a lot of what's going on in the media, that's one thing we have an abundance of, is information. Maybe overload. Anybody get overloaded with any of the stuff that's coming your way? Yes. It's every day it's overload. I stopped watching the news. It's just not healthy anymore. I mean, you certainly don't want to watch the 11 o'clock news at night, because then it's not gonna work. You gotta be in the flow of something a little more optimistic. Freedom. I think we live in a life where we have a lot of freedom, because there's so much we can do and experience, and just think of a beauty. Think how much we have access to beautiful art, to beautiful music, to dance, to all these things that we just turn on our internet, and we're plugged into endless things. I mean, think of the abundance of that. Think about 20 years ago. Was any of that there? Could we put a town in Japan, we wanted to find out what's going in that town, and now we could just go to the web, and we could find out what's going on in that town that day. I mean, sometimes it's hard enough 20 years ago to find out what was going on in our town. But now we have all this information coming in, so we have abundance and flow. I think of flowing and flowing all the time, everywhere. I think of joy, back to joy again, that if you allow the joy to flow, it just builds. It just flows more and more through you because you welcome it. You allow it to flow. So it's endless. So I've been thinking also about, well, how do we invite more abundance into our lives? And when I talk about abundance, in this case, I'm talking about the flow of money and opportunity. And so there's two kind of what I would call physics explanations here. I'm not going to tell you a lot about the physics, but there's Newtonian, which is basically you get up every morning, you do your job, you have a purpose that day, you have steps that you're going to take, and in 10 years you make enough that you have a nice savings, and then over a lifetime you keep on building upon that. So that's Newtonian physics. You just go boom, boom, boom every day, you step and you move forward in your life. And that's how you create, by over time. So if you start tuning into bigger possibilities, first you have to drop the I. Okay, by that I mean the I, me, my, because you can't go to a quantum level with I, me, my, because you're just in your step every day. So if you think of a quantum possibility, and if you listen to Joe Dispenza and other people who are talking about that, you can understand that the quantum shift is that you now are gone from the equation, but there is consciousness and awareness that is the creator then. Because the consciousness and awareness, you can stand, I think of standing in an infinite field, but I don't know what that would even be like. I mean, because I was listening to some astronomers recently, it was a couple of years ago, and they were saying that the universe is expanding now so much that it's like in the last 10 years, it's doubled. Can you think about that? Can your mind go that big? No, because it's the abundance of whatever is the source of the creation of all that, God or the infinite mind or whatever is the source of that creation. It is just boom, boom. expanding, expanding, expanding. Abundance is everywhere. But then you walk around the streets and you see it isn't in everyone's life. And I see that a lot because of the work I do. When I talk to some of the people that I'm helping, they are not into any bigger mind than just survival. And in survival mind, the abundance is contracted, the possibilities of that, because you're just holding on, just trying to figure out how to make it. And so that's a contraction. And the only way we can really make things happen on a big quantum level is there can't be any contraction in there. And I've been doing an experiment with my own mind, thinking, well, what's going on in there and what pops up? And if I pay attention, if I'm mindful throughout the day, I feel my mind makes contracting thoughts. Anybody else notice that? Where you are just like, tightening up. And I think, do we really want to do that? But a lot of it is just, it's wired in us. We have learned that. I can think of, I went to 12 years of Catholic school, so I have, it's almost every day I see something in there, go, oh man, that's still there. It still pops up in my mind like that was a bad thing, or it's hilarious sometimes if you can have a sense of humor about it, because you can't beat yourself. Whoops, you can't beat yourself. You can't beat yourself by thinking about what you shouldn't be thinking, right? Uh-oh, I touched the mic. I bopped the mic, so now it's responding poorly to me. So I wanted to share a nice meditation, a tune in today with you, about really seeing if you can go from this everyday life to a more expanded viewpoint. Good morning. That's right. Welcome. Any questions before I do that, before I go into a little bit of tuning in? Okay, let's do that. So what I'm going to invite you to do is just thank you. Let's close our eyes. And just to breathe for a moment, just feel the breath, body expands. We're going to really have an expanded body and an expanded experience. And just notice as you breathe, I'd like you to just feel or sense the chair behind you or holding you up, because that's a different part of the brain when you're going to just sense this moment, sense the chair, sense your breath. And let this flow of life flow through you, the flow that holds everything together, the infinite flow of the universe. Just breathe into that and notice if your body is tight in anywhere, and just allow that to relax. Your shoulders might be a place that would do, or your neck, even your hands, your belly, any of those places. Just breathe into those. So the body is just now a clearer and cleaner channel of flow and joy and love. I think of joy as a river that's always there, and all we have to do is step into it. So maybe you can sense that for a moment. And now we're going to imagine that we're leaving the I, the personality, the identity we have as who we are. Specifically, we're leaving the ego beside, setting it aside, the I. And ego and I aren't the same, but sometimes they seem like they are. So we're going to now expand in a place where who we are is awareness, consciousness, energy. And it's expanding. So first, our energy is big enough that it fills this room. And then it expands out even further, so it fills the town. And then our energy expands even further, so it's the whole state of Oregon, the whole Northwest. And we're gonna finally make a big leap, so our energy is as big as the earth. And we can even imagine holding the earth in us, maybe in our heart, and filling everybody on the planet with flow and abundance and blessings, love and joy. That was a big leap to that imagination. Just stay with it for a moment. Feel that presence of all humanity in your heart. Blessing them all, letting abundance flow through everyone on this planet. And now we're going to go out quite a bit further. So I'd like you to imagine that maybe a scene out of Star Trek or something where we just see the vastness, as vast as we can imagine it. Let's just imagine that the whole solar system is within us now. It's not an us of I, it's an us of consciousness and awareness. It's an us of love. Love is infinite. Joy is infinite. Abundance is infinite. And now I'd like you to imagine we're what we will call the infinite field. The interesting thing about the infinite field is the infinite field is full of infinite possibilities. And we're part of that now. Infinite possibilities. Our mind is so expanded that we are one mind, one heart, one love, one joy. And then the human part of you, if it has something that it wants to manifest, you can imagine that the infinite part of you, the infinite being that you are, is representing you in this infinite field and creating in the infinite field what you desire in your life today. It could be a flow of abundance. It could be wonderful opportunities. It could be a flow of love and joy and health and well-being. It could be all of those things. Infinite field with infinite possibilities. In a quantum experience, we can manifest that instantly. We don't have to go through time. In a quantum experience, we're beyond time. We're just now. Infinite possibilities flowing. Feeling the infinite in you, the possibilities and the joy and the aliveness. Again, remembering the life force that flows through this physical form also flows through everything. And that life force is flowing through us and everything. And we're just tuning in and imagining and feeling power of the mind, power of our emotions, our heart, magnified as infinite mind, infinite heart. Feel what that feels like. Be in touch with your heart. When your heart and mind come together and a focus. In the physical form, it's called heart-mind coherence. But in the infinite possibilities, we don't have a name for that yet. Maybe we can make one up. Infinite possibilities, we are an infinite being. Infinite possibilities, we are imagining what the physical form needs. We are creating that now with a thought, with our feelings, our emotions. It could be freedom, joy, ease, well-being, whatever it might be, it's all of it. Now I'm going to invite you to very gently and slowly come back. Not yet, but I'm going to do that in a moment. I want you to feel what this feels like one more time, to be totally in an expanded state beyond your ordinary experience, in unity with the divine, in whatever way you like to imagine that, with the creative force of the universe. You are one with that now. I'd like you to remember this practice and maybe try it again later today or sometime this week. Go into an expanded state. Drop yourself, the I, let it sit quietly someplace else, and just be one with the vastness of the universe. Infinite possibilities. Generating, energizing now. Slowly bring yourself back now, come back onto the planet. Back into your chair here at Ocean Unity. And still carrying the infinite part of you, aware of that. Take that with you today when you leave. Don't be driving with that state of mind, but take it with you when you leave, the infinite possibilities that you are. And feel that, experience it. You as a human being walking on the planet, you as an infinite being in the infinite field. Everybody back? I just want to say one more, or maybe more than one more thing, but the Substack that I'm doing, you can check it out. It's on, just do Substack, and particular place, it's called Living an Energized Life, an Energetic Life. Living an Energetic Life, and Joseph Bernard, PhD. It's on Substack, and the practices I do writing, I do videos and podcasts. That's a way through that. And then the last one is voice guided practices like this. This is a little longer one. I can only do about 5 or 10 minutes on that, but I'm going to figure out a way to do longer ones that they become available. So that's a little bit about myself for that. All right. Thank you for sharing this experience with me.
Thank you, Joseph. For your mind.